Patrick, the topic that you are bringing forth is how can entrepreneurs and investors create massive positive impact on society without compromising on their personal life or sacrificing the company's profitability. So I find it really fascinating that you're linking purpose, profitability, and well-being, and you'll share with us how you actually found a way to bring forth the three and not compromise seemingly on any of these three dimensions. Without any further ado, the stage is yours, Patrick.
Thank you very much, Ricardo, and welcome everyone in this session. Let me check in first in the space and express my intention to connect with all of you, and hope this story can give you some inspiration on the path that you are yourself. Because it's not really about my story or our story, but it's about the story we are creating ourselves for the world. And that's my intention. And the second intention is, if you're inspired or with anything you hear, is to connect. I'm always open to connect on LinkedIn and continue the discussion and see if life meant for us to do something together about what we share as a purpose. So thanks for being able to start with that, and for being here and share the space with you and walk you through this story. I now have a practical challenge of showing my slides. If all is well, you can see my presentation. Is that correct? Cool. So Pebble Wave, conscious purpose, entrepreneurship, consulting and investment. And the title of my session is, how can entrepreneurs and investors create massive positive impact on society without compromising on their personal life or sacrificing the company's profitability? Wow, that's way too many words for a title. And then again, every word in that sentence is important. Throughout the story, I hope any of these elements come forward, and if not, feel free to ask questions. If there's a part of that question that resonated with you and why you're here, I'm happy to go into that. Let me start off with the most boring and uninteresting part of the presentation. I like to start off with a bang and tell a little bit about Pebble and myself. Pebble is currently an ecosystem of 12 companies. We've done 20 companies over the past 10 years. They represent a sales volume of more than 20 million euros. And there are around 150 employees or co-workers or adventurers or explorers, whichever way you want to call it, in the ecosystem doing what we are doing. Myself, I graduated as a civil engineer in computer science. I had a consulting company that I sold in 2018 for a multi-digit million euro amount. And I'm now a partner and investor at Pebble Wave. This was the most boring part of the presentation. Stronger even, for the vision that I'm telling, it is completely irrelevant. Completely irrelevant. And if there's something to remember from this slide, it is just that fact that it is completely irrelevant. What is much more interesting is to hear the story from my soul that was behind it when I was doing the consulting company and selling it. At some point in that story, the most important moment was that I was aware that I was, when I was doing that, a lost soul, trying to be smart and work hard to be successful. It feels so great to say that. Because every word in that sentence is wrong, except for the lost word. Because feeling lost is really the crack where the light can go in and get inside and shed the light on your darkness. In my case, my darkness was I was trying to be smart and I was trying to work hard to be successful. And what did that mean at the time? I was trying as a leader or as a consulting partner, whatever that means, that I thought that I had to be, is that I had to know all the answers to the questions and that I had to be smart and perceived smart. What I didn't realize was while I was doing, I was pushing away all the people that had great ideas to help me. So whenever a consultant in our company came to me and I'm struggling with this, do you know the answer? Then I felt anxiety and that I had to be able to answer it. And when I answered, always something comes up. It was even harder when that person told me, yeah, but I already tried it and it doesn't work. That was just frightening. And I thought now I have to come up with something else, which you do. And then you push away the knowledge and the wisdom that's in that person. So that made me feel, and that ended up for me to be really, really lonely in my own company. At the time, I had 50 consultants in our company. I wasn't only partner, so it's not only my company. But I was so lonely, so lonely. And working hard, that's maybe even worse. I thought my limiting belief of having to work hard was even deeper. It was that if I did something for my customers, for my people, or anything in the company, I didn't believe that it could be valuable unless I had put in a lot of effort, went through struggles and overcome something outrageous. And then only then whatever I brought was that was really meaningful. And you can imagine, if you believe that, you end up in such complex projects, programs, you're struggling all the time. And whenever somebody raises another problem, you take it as if it's yours. And it piles up to all the complexity and complexity and complexity. And that just ended up in a moment 10 years ago when I was on the largest program. I was a program manager for the largest bank in Belgium, super complex program, and it just ran into the wall. And the customer kicked me off the project and said, yeah, that's not working. We're going to go on without you. I was completely confused and puzzled because I had built in the models, I had built in the operating model, did the strategy, put the plan, had all the activities down, had people on everything. And I was working my ass off really hard to make it work. And it didn't. But that was the most beautiful moment because I felt I was completely lost. And that came to the two most important questions that I couldn't surround anymore, which are, who am I? And why am I here? And if there's anything about this presentation or this talk to remember, I invite you to remember that. Just ask those two questions. No matter how lost you feel or how important you feel, those two questions will guide wherever you need to go. Who are you and why are you here? So I asked myself that question, and it was apparently not what I thought. A smart, hardworking guy that wanted to be successful. No, what was it? I reckon that I'm a connector. I connect people and I connect business systems, life-changing, world-changing systems to realize change, to build a new earth that is fulfilling, that is liberating, and that is successful in the sense that it generates thriving companies. But why? Well, so everybody can be themselves and everybody can find the answer to who they are and overcome those limiting beliefs like I had. That's why I'm here. And if we do that, all of us, then we will build a new earth and we will solve any challenge that we have as a humanity. That's what I deeply believe. And to be able to contribute a little to that, a lot, that doesn't matter. This is why I'm here. And I wish for everybody to find the answer to that question. And the funny thing is, you already know it. It's just inside you. And on the consciousness part, the funny thing is that whatever I did wrong all the time taught me how to do it right or how it feels right for me now. So being smart, I don't have to be smart anymore. I'm just intelligent enough to understand all the systems that I love and that I want to change. I can understand all of that, and that's more than enough. And working hard, well, yeah, we're not going to do that anymore. That's something from the past. Working hard. Wow. No, life is light. Life is energy. Life is flow. Life is so simple. If you just know who you are and why you are here, and then you get lightness, you get humor, you get love, and you get connection, and you can do whatever you like without working out. So whenever I feel I still working hard or anything that I grab that feels like, oh, this is a struggle, either there is some learning for me, probably there is some learning for me, and it's a signal like, am I doing why I'm here? Probably not. So enough about me, because this story is not about me, just to give you some inspiration on why we are here and why Pebble is here. So Pebble takes that to an ecosystem and a societal level. We have the same purpose in Pebble, which is to support global consciousness, which means that we all know who we are on an individual and a collective level. From there, building a new earth. And how we do that is by building, consulting, and investing in conscious purpose companies. And what are conscious purpose companies? Well, there are companies where everybody can be themselves and that are that safe that you can discover who that is. And what's a purpose company? Well, that's a company that realizes a positive impact on the world, which is inside of us and inside the leaders and the founders of the company, and to a collective extent, the same purpose for the whole team that's building that part of the new world. And I think it's funny, the consulting, we just recently added that. So we invested and we built 20 companies ourselves to figure out how that works. And we did radical experiments. Some failed miserably. Some are thriving. And in a constant struggle to figure out how that works, we extract that knowledge into a model and we are exposing it to any company who feels like, hey, this is the way I want to do it. This is the way I want to do it. So we do it in a form of coaching and consulting, but it's not really what we're doing. We're consulting. So it's a conscious way of sharing insights and going on that transformation together. An investment is actually irrelevant, but yeah, that's also what we do. Great. So probably all the energetic people who feel that on their path, or you feel something inside your body, are already super excited. But if you're a little bit more down to earth and into the moment and tell you, okay, but show us how it's done, we will get to that right now. So from those experiments, from those 20, we always say we distilled red pills, like in the Matrix. We are a little bit like Morpheus, And all the people we work with are the NEOs. And we offer them the red pills that we distilled up to now and invite them, which one do you want to take? Do you want to take the red pill and see how the conscious purpose world could look like for you? Or are you not ready yet and you prefer to stay where you are right now, which is also fine, and you can take the blue pill. So I hope I instilled the questions, who you are and why you are here. But if you want to forget about all of that, no worries. At the end of the session, you can take the blue pill and get back to where you are right now, which is also fine. Our red pills, we have 7 red pills, and I have to click away. Which are those? It's really not about the model and about going through all of this, but I will do that anyway. And any question about this and whatever I talk to now is fine. Where do we start? We always start with the first 2 questions. Who are we and why are we here? And those are the 2 first pillars of our red pill model, which means leadership and team coaching, to really find deeply inside who we are and what are the limiting beliefs that we are holding individually or as a team that are limiting our path towards our purpose. The second one is purpose-driven organization. It's really very clearly defining, but not on a mental mind, but on a heart mind. What is it that energizes us? Where do we want to go in this life and in this company that energizes us and that we feel this is the flag where we are heading to? And taking that on an individual level and on a collective level as the pinnacle and the North Star and the pole star of our company is what the second pillar is all about, and how you organize that. The third one, which is actually where we usually start, is the lean purpose strategy. Is if we know who we are and why we are here, how do we make a strategy for our company that sets us up, that is a plan and a step-based journey towards it. So we take that purpose and here it becomes tangible. Here it becomes tangible. What is the purpose? And how we translate it in a business model that realizes that purpose. And we always see that there is misalignment to that, which is a pity. And it happens for 2 reasons. First of all, those limiting beliefs make you grab other activities than who you are. And secondly, the purpose is already inside you is in the extent of your talents. And your talents meaning the things, the activities that give you more energy than they cost you. And because of this, that's easy for you. That's easy for us. That's easy for the entrepreneur. That's easy for the team. And usually when things are easy, it's very hard to see that it's hard for other people. And it's very hard to feel the value of that. So maybe you recognize it, maybe you don't. Some things you do so spontaneously, so naturally that you think, yeah, everybody can do it. It's so simple, but exactly that is the point where your value is. And identifying that, and then deriving the products and the services and the business model based on bringing that so-called simple thing to life. Usually there's so much untapped potential in any organization that is not even remunerated by customers. But the funny thing is that probably that is the essence why some customers work with you. So articulating that, translated it in your business model, in your products and service, in your commercial model, and it comes to the next one, in the financial model, is what this strategy is all about. That brings us to the 4th pillar. Based on your purpose, why you're here, what is simple for you, what is valuable, you also feel and know what is the optimal road to market for your company and the commercial model that fits best with you. I give you an example. We had one of the leaders, his talent was to make large deals, and he likes to talk to complex companies with complex needs, and shape throughout the process that takes months a deal that helps both companies. And this person was applying in his company a digital mass market commercial model, which, as you can guess, didn't work really well. Although everybody's saying we're digitizing, everybody's saying that's the way because it's more cost effective, etc., etc. And it's true. But if you want to go that way, then you need a leader, or you need the people that have the energy to work those kind of solutions. So we switched the commercial model to a wholesale model where you can go with large partners, make those deals, and it works much better. It works much better. So you see that from a purpose perspective and who you are, it also impacts the commercial model in your business. And then for the financial model, I'm not going to go into that, but it's the same principle. And the sixth pillar is the operating model. How does that effectively work together in your teams? There you also find similar examples, and we translated how you can find it, how it works for you. And last but definitely not least is, if you have such an organization, it's all about the people that work there and resonate or not with that same purpose. So recruiting is crucial to do in a purpose-driven manner. And there aren't that many companies or recruiting agencies that work that way, because traditionally it's not, you look at skills and talents and fit and track record, whereas, which is also important, but the more fundamental element is, do we align on the same purpose? So conscious purpose recruiting is different. So I can go on about this in more detail and extended elements, but if there's anything that resonates with you, want to know more about, jot down the questions in the chat and we can go into that. Now, models are always limiting the energy, but are guiding and structuring the energy as well. So let's give an example of one of our companies and how it worked out there. And then we go into the conversation, and happy to answer whatever came up with you. One of our companies, this is one that we started ourselves, is to grow. And what is the purpose of to grow? To grow aims to reduce 20% of global plant production space, so it's agriculture space, and give it back to nature. That is really the purpose that guides any decision in this company and where the energy is, and which is the pinnacle of the strategy of the company. And how we do that is by using state-of-the-art sensor technology. So it's our sensors, you can see them on the pictures here, that are put on the plant. They're non-invasive, so it doesn't hurt or interfere with the plant's behavior at all. And it measures on a minute-to-minute basis all the juices that flow through the plant and how much, and also the diameter of the stem or the leaves. And it can be on, it's that precise to a tenth of a millimeter of a nanometer. And it's a tenth of a nanometer precise. So we can even put it on really tiny plants and on larger plants to feel how the plant feels. And it allows growers and farmers to produce more effectively, efficiently, and reducing, in the end, reducing the space that they need. That's why we do it. Again, irrelevant information, but what are we doing? We started off in the Benelux. We moved globally on all the continents with farmers and growers applying it anywhere. Lately, the international expansions are in all those companies, small numbers, and we're growing to spread that globally as we move on. Currently, there are over And there's all numbers over 400 plants measured, so you don't need a sensor on every plant. Just per hectare you need 2 sensors. So and over 15 countries. Again, completely irrelevant is information. It's not about the results now. Obviously, that's a mirror of where we are, but it's how far are we on a trajectory to change the whole agriculture world. Yeah, numbers, we are profitable since last year. This year we had to, I'm going to be completely transparent, open and honest. We said, wow, we're profitable. We don't need growth capital to scale this. We're gonna grow exponentially. It didn't happen. We are still profitable, but we saw that the internal structure started shaking a little bit. So we're addressing that now, and that's fine, because it gave us a lot of learning of limiting beliefs we had, things we had to address. We're doing that now, but it will happen. There's no doubt about that. More interesting is, what have we learned? How does this company work? And what are the limiting beliefs that we overcame? And how does it impact the business to go on this path and be successful? With successful, we mean realizing that impact both for the world, both for the people in the company, and still remain successful and sustainable as a company ourselves. Here are some of those. So I won't tell anything because that would take us too much time, but if anything resonates, happy to talk about that further in the session. But on a consciousness level, just one example was very related to working hard, is that in a company, and definitely one that starts and is in a scale-up phase, everyone has to do shitty tasks. So a lot of people were doing tasks they didn't like and were not in line with their talents. And there was the limiting belief, yeah, when somebody was complaining about it, yeah, just shut up. Everybody's doing shitty tasks, do that. It's such a limiting belief. Because as you already felt, or I feel it right now, you should do only the task that energize you, because if you do the task that energizes, you do them well and you will overcome the barriers that are there. If you cling on to the shitty task, then you work hard, you'll be dragged and it will not work. But if you have the limiting belief that you have to do, that everybody has to do shitty tasks, you cannot pass on those tasks to other people, and you stick with them. So what we did was very simple. Everybody made a list. What are the tasks you like? What are the tasks you don't like? We switched the tasks and we went on. And the tasks that nobody did, there you hire people that have the talents that get energy of those tasks. So even by clinging on to the tasks, you're withholding the space for those kind of solutions to arise. A very limiting belief that in many companies we've seen. Purpose-driven. We had several leaders in the company that didn't have quite the same, that had the same belief of these sensors, that they bring a value to the world. But some were more into giving the space back, and others are no, going more into efficiency and trying and helping other companies to contribute to that. So what we did, we split the company in two, and we had 2 companies, which gave so much clarity, so much more focus in the teams. And we divided even the teams, and the people that felt more for this purpose went on there and the other ones were there. And so a lot of noise and a lot of going a little bit from left to right in the company was solved through that. On the strategy part, yeah, we can go into that, but we switched from product driven to an advice driven, because we saw that the impact on the grower, on the farmer, doesn't only come from giving the insight of what happens in the plant. No, he needs the advice, and the driver for changing the growth behavior of the grower is by the advice. So all growers, almost all work with advisors. So we said, we also need that part in our business to be able to use the purpose. And it was purpose driven. And now this advice part is 50% of the revenue of the companies. Whereas in a traditional company, you would not do that. You would just do more sensors to more farmers in more geographies and not even care about the advice probably. Switching it around makes purpose come to life. People see that, get energized, and are happier in the company, and it's better for the company, as you can see. Commercial already explained. The financial, we switched from a lease to a purchase model, which alleviates completely the need for growth capital in this company, and that gives enormous boost. So we believe that behind every purpose there is a solid business model to be found, driven by healthy finances. And when people see that's actually oxygen pumping into the company, the belief that it will happen increases. Company is shaking, so we need structure. So self-management, self-driven, purpose-driven is about liberation, but it's also about structure. We are learning that right now. What is a structure that's not rigid like in a company, but that channels the energy and that makes things come to life, but it's also grounded in the hard matter and makes people aware of where they need to be to do what action when, so we can actually make that impact. Recruiting, I already explained that. Maybe the connecting communication is important. What sometimes people think if they talk about teal and conscious purpose, it's like some kind of Elysian fields, love and peace area where everything is sweet and honey and flavor, and everything is frictionless and fine and nice and floating and hugging. And yes, it is there, but there's also hard friction and hard tension and painful moments and even destruction to make space for new things arise. And that's really painful. That's really painful to face that. Friction is hard, confrontation is hard. But if you have a loving way of communicating about it and allowing space for that to happen by using connecting communication, then you can overcome that. Then you can create a space that you don't drag it into real destruction that is not healable. And that's why we always teach connecting communication everywhere in each of the companies. That's it. That's the story. Why we do it, how we do it. One example. I will open up the room for questions. At least if this is inspiring to you, if you feel like, yeah, this is also why I'm here, in my way to do this, I invite you to connect and create in this space of people around the world, global, a network of believers that this world is possible and that business can be whole and fulfilling for everybody, can be purposeful, and that we're on this spot together. So happy to connect. If your question now is not answered, please connect on LinkedIn, send it to me. I promise you, I will get back in time to any of those and explore how we can do this together. I thank you very much. And I give it to Ricardo to...
Patrick, thank you very much. This has been definitely inspirational. Thank you also for sharing your personal stories and the beliefs that you were buying into, which were limiting you from fully flowering as it has been happening after you could let go of them. And indeed, quite a few questions are going into this direction. Quite a few of us are curious to learn a little bit more about how you managed to do this shift and how you explored fundamental questions such as who am I and what I'm here for. Someone says also, I see on your LinkedIn that you spent 2 years floating, and we're curious to ask basically how you did this transitioning. So it would be wonderful if you would like to share a little bit more about it.
Thank you. I suppose it's a question about my personal transformation and how I did that. Well, funny, it came to me 1 year before I had that tragic moment. I talked to a friend of mine, a friend of my wife, actually, who was an artist, a painter, and I realized that I was so stuck in my operations that something that I had as a child, which was these aha moments. I think we all have that sometimes you're just sitting and doing something and you have this aha moment, like, everything becomes clear. This is what I need to do. Wow, what a great idea. I need to explore that. I didn't have that anymore. I was only busy with managing projects and tasks, and it felt like, yeah, I lost it. And I thought, yeah, this is what life is as a grown-up. And I asked that artist, yeah, you are painting every day, so you must be this creative maniac that has these ideas all the time, isn't it? How do you do that? And he said, well, I wish it was like that, but that's not how it is. Sometimes that happens, but some element that helped me is meditation and transcendental meditation. I think any type of meditation is fine, but he said, yeah, try that. And so that came on my path, and I tried that, and I went to the Transcendental Meditation Organization, and they teach you that in 3 days, 3 sessions. But from the first moment that I meditated, which is actually just connecting to who you are, which is a natural process, getting out of your head. I was so much in my head the whole time with those actions. I need to do this, I need to do that. That noise that I thought that's me and I have to follow, that was interrupted. And the first moment that was interrupted, that was like, boom! In a very dark room, a dark space where I was really lonely, somebody turned up the light. You know, when you wake up in the morning and you open up the light, it's like, oh, it was like that for me. It was like that for me. I was like, oh my God, what's going on? But at the same time, it felt like coming home again. Like, oh my dear God, where have I been? This is the real part. This is the real part. And then you would imagine, this is so enlightening. Now I'm gonna go with my flow and I'm being loving and go, no, I went straight back into this old pattern and says, whoa, but with this is in mind, now I'm going to do it. Now I'm gonna do this successful project. And I ran into that program and completely collapsed. So I thought, wait a minute, I'm meditating. I have a connection to this light. I must be genius. So now it has to work. And no, it completely failed. And actually that process has repeated itself endlessly since then. And whenever I run into that, I know, yeah, we're back on that track again. There's something, but every time there's something to learn. And how I did it, I did leadership coaching. I went around. I'm an engineer. You can imagine that. I'm an engineer, and people think engineer usually are these hard fact-based analytical people, which is not true at all. But I went the fully hard way. The rational way. I was that guy that everybody said, this guy is an engineer. He's just an engineer. He's so rigid and stuff. And then I went the other way around. Fully energetic, spiritual. There is so much things. There is yoga, of course. There is things you can even go in a sweat hut, shamanism channel. You can do all of it. I did all of that. But it's not important. What is important, comes to you. What comes to you. Just ask those questions and then see what comes to you. Whether it's meditation, whether it's yoga, whether it's eating different, whether it's going to the gym, riding your bike, that's all good. That's all good. You know it, you can see it, and just follow those signs. For me, meditation, I still do it. It works. And then things started shifting. So I started meditating. I ran into that error, hitting the wall. I hit the wall in my previous company 2, 3 more times, and only then I could release and say, I really am somebody else. And this, what I had, this spark of connecting to myself, it's so deep that it's who I am. And I want to bring that to everybody, or invite everybody to do that. And that's how I came to that point. And the funny thing is that selling my company, I often meet entrepreneurs that say, yeah, that's cool, but now I still have to do my business, right? You are this guy, you already sold, you're already there. No, it's not true. It was first I made that change. I even thought I'm ready to sell my shares to my partners, even for a lower amount, to be freed up. And it was only after I was ready to do that there suddenly was this acquirer who paid loads of money for us. It's only after that. So I truly believe that those fundamental questions and be prepared to embrace what's limiting you and going that will open up the space for things to happen. And as long as you're in your mind with, I need to get there, it goes further away. So first come to yourself, who you are, and then see how it evolves. For me, it was very shyly. The first few years, very shyly. I didn't even dare to tell people I was meditating. I thought they would think I'm crazy. And the funny thing is, they do think I'm crazy, but that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. And now, but as I embraced that more and more, I came into that flow, things started to change. And the funny thing, the company was sold, I had to be there. And the nicest, most fulfilling project I had was the last project I had. And I had to stop it because I had to leave the company. So funny. But then I met Pebble, I met the founders of Pebble who said, yeah, we are also on this path. And since then, everything starts going faster and faster and more momentum and more momentum. That's a little bit about the story.
Thank you, Patrick, for so openly sharing about your story. So there are a couple of questions which are going in the direction of better understanding how, we have seen your model, you presented us with the different areas that you cover, starting with the leadership, if I remember well. There are a couple of questions going in the direction of how do you actually manage to reorganize teams in a way which actually unlocks the potential of the people within the organization. So the question here states, how do you actually build teams around basically who are you, why are you here? So around, I guess, the qualities and skills of the people to leverage them the most. And then I would like to link this to maybe also a question that I've seen in the chat, which is about performance and success indicators for a purpose-centric company. What are they? Which one are you using and are turning to be the most successful or relevant?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's a lot of questions, a lot of answers popping up. Maybe first on the organizational part. It is a journey, for sure. And the first starting point is this mind switch that you say, okay, I'm ready and I'm open to work this way. The realization is that when you take that decision with your heart, not with your mind, you are already there. And everything that happens after that is just the steps you are taking to embrace that further and further. So it's not an end point. How and what organization? No, it's just that decision, and then it starts. And what you need, what has worked for us is having processes that support that evolution to your organization to happen. And how we do that is by embracing all the tensions with the current organizational model you have as a source to change what you need to change. So just making that mind switch and keeping the organization as you have right now is the organization that you need right now. And then you need just processes that allow anybody in the company to speak up and say, with this part of how we work, I feel friction and it gives me tension and it does not allow me to contribute to my fullest potential to reaching the purpose. This person has the autonomy to take the decision what he needs, but also has the duty to come forward with the proposition. The mind switch is also, the proposition is fine, but the method that we use is that everybody that's impacted by the proposition has the space to give an advice, and then the person can either follow that advice or not. So it's not about asking permission, it's about asking advice and taking that advice or not. Person is free to take the decision, and as of that moment, the organization changes just for that part. Next iteration, we see, did it work? Did it work for that person? If it works, great, the organization has changed. If it doesn't work, new tensions arise, and the people who feel that tension have the space to tell that. Then, if the person, if one of the advices specifically addressed the tension that arose, then that person is invited. Why did you not take that advice into account? Obviously, because there's a limiting belief with that person that that was not the right way. So that's an opportunity for this person to grow. So we don't penalize that person. No, we say, great, you saw that? This happened. We create a space. What limiting belief is below that? We do coaching. We create a space. We create a love for that person. Do you see what's behind that? See what is below that? If that person embraces that, the limiting belief goes, he accepts the advice, and the company, organization changes again. And that's a fluid way of how the organization with each tension evolves as a company. And now I explain it on an individual level, but you also have it on a team level. And that's how it works. So this is a kind of a process that allows you to move from where you are, where you want and need to go, everything in line to what is that purpose. So in order for this process to allow to happen, you need that purpose. You need that purpose. You need to communicate that purpose. You need to talk to everybody. Does that feel right, that purpose? Do you also have that purpose? If you do feel you have that purpose, then there is place for you in this company. What are your talents? Those are your talents. Based on those talents, okay, what are the most fit activities for you to pick up and contribute based on your talents? And then you wrap it up in roles, and then you wrap it up in circles, and then you have these processes where those teams who are in those circles can go to what I just explained. And in that way, you gradually, fluidly move around with the tensions, with the tensions. So the tensions are there actually as a source for growth and inspiration. I hope that explains a little bit the question. There was another question, Ricardo, that I now don't remember that was related to this.
Yeah, the other bit was about KPIs, but actually good KPIs to measure purpose, if that's ever possible.
So from the starting point of the strategy, where we really feel what our purpose is, what the business model is that best suits this purpose, and then commercial product portfolio, financial. Then we move into, on a company level and on a team level, the objectives. And we use an existing model, which is OKRs, objectives and key results, to translate this business model and these strategic initiatives into company objectives in 10 years, in 5 years, and in 1 year. We do the same exercise with the teams. Okay, based on the company objectives, what does it mean for the teams? 10 years, 5 years, 1 year. And even for the people who want, what does it mean for them? And then it's just basic business practice. We revised it every 3 months for the yearly objective, and every year we redo that strategic exercise to see where are we, where are we not. It's that simple. But it's not very different from a traditional company, this type of exercise, but the difference is that now the purpose is the guidance and the criteria to define the objective, which has been translated in a strategy and then on a team and so forth.
Thank you, Patrick. We are slowly heading towards the end of the session, but there is time at least for one last question. Before I ask you the question, I want to recognize that a couple of people wrote in the chat, your positive energy is infectious. Thank you. And the way you can now laugh about yourself or about what, how you were in the past is uplifting.
Thank you.
I also would like to share here in the chat the link to the spatial chat for those of you who would like to continue the conversation around what Patrick has been sharing. We'll meet in the Till Lounge. And I'll also share the LinkedIn profile again of Patrick in a moment, so that if you would like to connect with him, you can do that. Patrick, probably the last question is, you said that you invested into about 20 companies. Some of them have been quite a success, and I believe the example you showed us has been quite a successful one, and some others have been crushing failures. So would you like to give us the example of a juicy failure and what you learned actually out of the experience?
Yes, what shall I take? I also have to respect the safety of the people that were in those companies, obviously. So I'll keep it to our learnings. But maybe on the financial part. Some of the companies went bankrupt that we did, or completely downsized and we lost our investment on it. And obviously you want to avoid that. But one limiting belief that came out of that is that it is okay to make money with doing good for society. And a lot of people feel that is somehow unjust. But if you really think about that, turn it around. If you can't make money with something good for the world, what can you make money with? With doing something bad for the world? Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy? And that belief that it's okay to make money with something valuable that's good for the world, that's so liberating. And it makes capitalism, although it has its excesses, such a beautiful tool to bring positive change to the world. And some people embrace that and some people don't, and that's fine. But feeling that money is actually taking care of yourself and is love that you bring, and it's just, the money is just a practical tool to allow exchange of value, an exchange of love, and exchange of positive impact that we are bringing together as a business with our customers, with our suppliers, with our people, with any partner in our ecosystem, it's so liberating. It's so liberating. And it also makes you feel like whatever capitalism brought to the world, that's good and or bad, you see that it's so impactful. And if you can turn that into an engine for good, can you feel that we can change the world? I can feel that. And many of us can feel that. So you should not be afraid of money. No, it will help us to make this new world come to life.
Patrick, thank you for the beautiful message that you're actually bringing to us today. It has been very much inspiring. Are there any maybe last words with which you would like to leave us with? You literally have 1 minute to maybe share a last few words with us.
Yes. I loved the compliment that the positive energy and being able to laugh at myself was so inspiring, but that was only possible because we were here together and because you gave me that energy to tell what I needed to tell. It wasn't even my words. It was the wisdom that connects us here together. And so it's not about my story, it's about your story and our story together. So ask yourself, who are you? Why are you here? And connect with me or with anybody that you will connect to in the conference today, and we will make it happen. That's my invitation to all of you. And I wish you a lot of fun, a lot of courage to overcome your pains and limiting beliefs, and a lot of fun and laughter at yourself when you've overcome it. Those limiting beliefs are hilarious. They're hilarious. They're just hilarious. And if you can do that, then you know you're so much on the right track, which we are already now, And I wish you all the best on that journey. And I hope to meet many of you several times going forward on that path. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Patrick. Again, there is the spatial chat for those of you who want to join us there. And otherwise, enjoy I think it's the last set of sessions before the conclusion of Till Around the World. Have a good day, evening, or morning, everyone.